what I'm going to do today is a review of the SS Brewtech Brewbucket. It's the Brewmaster edition. I've been kindly given this, so I thought I'd do a bit of a review on it, a bit of setup, and just talk a bit about it. Grant from Beer Lover TV did quite an extensive review of this when it first came out, but that was the original version. This is slightly changed a bit now since the time when Grant done his, so I'm just going to run through a bit about it and then the setup. So I ordered this. This came from the malt miller. Fantastic service as always. When I ordered it, one thing I wasn't sure of, you might be able to pick up the little hole there. That's for a LCD thermometer that goes in like a thermo well. I'll show you it all in a minute. It wasn't quite clear from the description on whether the thermometer came with the Brewbucket, and the thermometers, I think they were 18 quid. So I was undecided for a while on whether to order one or not with the bucket, and I thought I'll risk it, and I didn't, and luckily enough, as you'll see in a second, one comes with it. So what you get with the bucket is the bucket itself. You get a little bag with your thermometer and a little instruction, and also inside there is 2 spare batteries for the thermometer, which I thought was quite good. Spare batteries. You get a tap, a thermowell, and a racking arm. Then also inside now, I don't know if you can pick up behind the Brewbucket, I have got an SS pot. I'll come to that in a minute while that's on. But I remember when I got that a couple of years ago, probably had that 3 years, and that came with like a printed page of instructions. They've obviously been doing well for themselves. SS Brewtech, because the card you get now, very fancy. I don't know if you can see that, all embossed, and it's their quick start guide. Also you get a bit of shameless advertising for the infusion mash tun and the chronicle. I was in 2 minds whether to go for a chronicle, but the one I wanted, the small one, malt miller never had in stock, and I'm not good on patience, so I didn't want to wait. I know they get them in from America, so it could have been quite some time till they got them in, so I decided to go with the Brewbucket. And my other decision behind the Brewbucket was it fits in my fermentation fridge, so I didn't have to buy the extra temperature control that's a couple hundred quid to go with it, so I'll stick with the bucket for now. And also a couple of SS Brewtech beer mats, what every person needs in their bar. So the bucket itself, solid bucket. You definitely get what you pay for with SS Brewtech. I am a fan of theirs. Just losing a thermo well. The latches, I suppose you'd call them, that hold the bucket, the lid on, are all spring loaded, as you can see there. Excellent construction as always. There's 4 of them on there. Got them all off, yeah. 2 carrying handles. You have there's the 2 holes there, one for the thermo well, one for your tap. The lid, this is something that intrigued me. Grant's review, and I'll put a link down to Grant's stuff below. You mentioned this hole in the lid. Oh, that's something else you do get with it. I've missed that, sorry. Let me just grab it. Oh, it's there, sorry. There's a bung that goes in the top for your bubbler. Yeah, when Grant done his review, he mentioned that hole there, it was a very clean cut and it was quite sharp. What they've done on the new one is, it's kind of, I'll hold it closer so you can see, get it there on the camera. Yeah, it's kind of pressed through, so you can see it's got an edge on it. It's not sharp at all, and it's rounded now. And Grant mentioned as he was putting in and out the bung for his airlock, it was kind of shaving a piece off the airlock, off the bung. Not anymore. They've obviously listened to what people have said. There is also an optional right angled coupler for a blow off valve. I didn't order that, and in hindsight I should have done. Why mess around with an airlock when there's a stainless steel right angled coupler that fits, was it 3/8? I'm not sure what size diameter, tubing straight into a blow off. That was an extra 14 quid from the malt miller. I'm not sure whether you can just use any right angle coupler. It looks around, it's a bit smaller than ½ inch, I'd say, that hole. I haven't measured it, but that's an option, an optional extra if you want it. I've also I've done a bit of reading around on the internet. As you can see, there's a dimple in the lid. These buckets can be stacked 3 high. The dimple in the bottom is so that the point at the bottom of the bucket fits inside the lid of the next one. SS Brewtech recommend no more than 3 high. Personally, £170 ago, I don't know how many you have kicking around your house, but I don't think I'll ever have 3. Yeah, I've done a bit of reading on the internet, and some people as well. There is a domed lid that you can get off the Chronicle, and they also fit these, I believe, to give you a bit more headspace. This one here is a 7-gallon bucket. I don't do batches big enough, I don't think, to be needing any more headspace. As I mentioned earlier, there is a temperature control unit that goes with this. It comes with another lid, a neoprene jacket, a coil, a few other bits, and that's around £200. So if you haven't got a fermentation fridge and you've got a couple £100 lying around on top of the bucket, ideal for you. I know Grant, when he done his review, was quite excited by the fact he brews in a flat, so space is obviously a concern, ideal for situations like that. That's the infamous rubber gasket. I've watched a few videos now on taking the gasket out and putting it back in, and it's basically starting from opposite sides, then rotate it opposite and keep working it round that way. And you put it in one end and start moving your way round clockwise or anti-clockwise, you end up with an excess at the end. It's not because the gasket doesn't fit, it's just the method you've got to use to install it. And I'm not sure if you can pick up there is a lip just inside here, and it clips underneath it. It's pretty simple. Alright, the bucket, as I said, nice and solid. I'll try and get them so you can see it, and there is etched markings inside it, and as you can see there, 7 gallons, 25 litres. I generally brew 22, 23 maximum litre batches, because I usually brew to put in a corny keg. Leaves me a bit for bottling, sending out on beer mail, or generally I just bottle a couple just to keep or to drink whenever. Right, the instructions, when you get them, I'll run through them now so you can just see what I'm going to do for the next part of the video. So stainless steel prep, it says to pre-clean, and the first time it tells you to give it a thorough clean on all surfaces. It's basically to remove any gunk that's been left from the factory, and if you feel it, this is, well, I've only had this a day or two, it's got like a waxy feel to it, and it must be whatever they preserved it with in the factory. It tells you to clean it with trisodium phosphate, or TSP, in hot water. Right, you can buy trisodium phosphate on the internet. I don't know what I would ever use it again for. It's quite a nasty chemical. But if you speak to the malt miller, they say warm soapy water's fine. Obviously you don't want to use anything abrasive, no scouring pads, a soft cloth, and you're literally just taking off that factory residue. Clean all your valves, everything that comes with it. Then a rinse in water, job done. Right, I had to do this with the other kettle as well, and it advises that you do it annually, is passivation. So you need an acid-based sanitizer, so Star San if you use it. Malt Miller do their own version, it's quite a lot cheaper. I'm not aware of any other ones that I would tell you to use, because they're the only two I've used. And it says 1 ounce per gallon. As you're aware, Star San and sanitizers in general are fairly expensive, so my concern was that I've just used pretty much a whole bottle of Star San, because that's what I had in the house, to pacify a Brewbucket. I've asked online and I've been told that you can still use it as sanitizer. That's only what I've been told, so I'll give it a go. I've got some 5 litre water bottles. I'm going to fill up a couple of them and try and keep it and use it to save wasting it. So what you do is you heat up your water to around 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and then let it sit in your stainless steel vessel for approximately 30 minutes. Once you empty it out, sanitize as normal, all your valves, taps, lid, gaskets, the works. That's you good to go then once you've built all your components inside it. And then all it recommends is that a regular clean, pre and post use with an alkaline based cleaner such as HBW, and then sanitize with Star San as usual. Right, it does warn you several times on here not to use Scotch-Brite scouring pads, and basically that's because you're going to start scuffing up the metal. What it does say though is if you do scuff it up, you forget, you use something abrasive, is to pacify, you do the passivation process again, and it should get in there and resurface the metal. It does recommend not to use chlorine bleach or chlorine based products, because the chlorine can cause pitting to the stainless steel. Right, so my other brew pot, I'm kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Like I said, I've had this a couple of years, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to use the Star San. I've gotten that up to the temperature I need, the 80 degrees. I'll pacify this pot, then I'm going to empty it down into the Brewtech one, into the Brewbucket, sorry, and use it twice before I keep the sanitizer for further use. So what I'll do is I'll fill this up with Star San, and then I'll come back to you and show you. Top tip when doing the passivation process, make sure the tap's closed before you start. Right, so that's the pacification. Is that, I'm guessing that's a word. I'm running with it. I didn't show you any footage of it because it's basically filling a metal bucket with Star San. Left it for around 30 minutes, maybe a bit longer, because I was doing other stuff, and that's all good. Emptied it out now. So what I'm going to do now is a bit of footage of assembling the bucket, and it's going to be sanitised then, and there's going to get some beer put in it. So SS basically recommend that everything is hand tightened, and I've obviously just assembled it to put the Star San in it, and I did do everything hand tight, literally hand tight, and it's been absolutely fine, no leaks. The only drama I had was I left the tap open, as you've seen, and I had a nice puddle. I've got a nice sanitised kitchen floor now. So the first part that will go in is the thermocup. So basically, as you can see there, there's a lip with an O-ring in it. It goes in through the inside. There's a second O-ring that goes on the outside, and a nut. So it's as simple as thermo well in, O-ring on, hand tighten, is it. That simple. Right, to go inside the thermowell is the LCD thermometer, and as you can see, it's a little black box, a probe on the end, and then what you get with it is it's kind of like a neoprene PVC enclosure. All you do is feed the probe through. I don't know if you can see there's a slight angle on it. Obviously you want the angle pointing up so you can get a reading. Feed it through, it just pushes into place. That simple. Then all you're going to do, hopefully you can see that, probe inside the thermowell, feed it on, and that's you. LCD inside it. Right, the next part that goes in, so I'm just taking this out of Star San as I'm going, is your tap. Inside your tap goes your racking arm, which is a little tube, and it's got two small O-rings on it. Right, I believe this is another feature that's been updated since the original version. I believe this is a bit longer. So what they advise you do is, when you're fermenting, you leave the racking arm down or to the side, just so as to the yeast and everything's dropping out, nothing goes inside your tube. And once it's fitted inside, you just rotate when you're ready to bucket, or whatever you're going to do, keg, secondary, and it raises the racking arm. So what I'll do is I'll install this. You don't need to see me screwing another nut, and then I'll get some footage of the arm rotating inside the vessel. Right guys, so that's the racking arm installed. You can see it there just below the thermowell. So that's the position they recommend that you brew in, and you can see the conical shape down the bottom. Then when you're ready to rack off or bottle or secondary, whatever you're going to do, it's literally a case of twisting the tap, the whole body of the tap, and it rotates it down. And I believe they've made the arm longer so you're not wasting any valuable beer. And then that should be all your trub down the bottom. I'll show you it on the outside. It literally is hand tight. That's how loose the tap is. That's how loose it was before. Absolutely no problem holding 6 gallons of liquid. Right, so we've got the LCD thermometer, the tap, the racking arm fitted, and all that's left to do is the lid and the seal. So what I'll do is I'll just move the camera around, and I'll try and do it in one hit and get this seal fitted, just so you can have a look on how I do it. Right, so this is how I apply the seal. So I'll give it a spray of Star San, just so any nasties underneath are done. And if you lay it down, you can see there already, it looks like there's excess. So you get it at 2 points, rotate it, 2 more points, and then it's literally a case of working it round, chasing in that excess. Until it's all in. That's it, nice and easy, sanitized underneath, ready to go. So that's the gasket back in the lid now. What I'm going to do now is fit the rubber bung, which just pushes in, nice and easy, ready for an airlock. So what I'll do with this now is I'll sanitize it again on the inside, just with normal Star San. One thing I will say about keeping your Star San from the process of protecting the metal is it's done at an ounce per gallon, I believe I said before. Obviously that's way stronger than you would for normal sanitation. So what I've done is kept it in 5 litre bottles and then water it down when I fill up my spray bottle. So I'll get that done now. I'll get some beer in and I'll finish up.